Temple is still on the outside looking in on bowl game eligibility as hopes for win number 6 takes a hit.
The Owls fall by 1 point against an academy team for the second time this season.
I'm Anthony Rossioli. I got the story about one hoop transfer who's all too familiar with Temple.
And I'm Pat Dallahan with an added focus on men's hoops. I'll take a look at some X's and O's from Temple's dominating win over LaSalle on Tuesday night.
And live at the Leocore Center, I'm Xavier Johnson, and later today we'll be talking about two teammates on the women's basketball team who have been close friends dating back to their days in high school.
And back to football. I sat down with quarterback Evan Simon, who discussed his future and what the rest of Temple's season has in store for us.
And we'll take a look at a maestro on the hardwood for the volleyball team. Our sports update is live and it starts right now. Hello and welcome to another edition of Our Sports Update. As the leaves fall off the trees and we're approaching Thanksgiving, some teams are wrapping up, but other teams are just ramping up. I'm Gabriel Linington.
And I'm Kayla Levine. And speaking of a team that is heading towards the later part of its season, we were up at West Point on Saturday as the Owls look to get that all-important 6th win.
Temple homecoming and military schools seem to go hand in hand this season. But this game was on the road for the Owls as the Army Black Knights hosted the Cherry and White for their homecoming celebration in front of more than 30,000 fans. The Owls at Mikey Stadium. This is the 15th meeting between these two teams that started in 1943. Not many points in this one, scoring at a rarity. Already in the second quarter scoreless, and Army is the first to strike. Jake Rendina gets the rush down the middle to go up 7 after the extra point. A little shove there by Temple. Owls ball down 7, and Temple's running back gets an 11-yard gain with some shifty moves. 4th and goal, the Owls with a chance to even up the playing field, and who else but Evan Simon faking the handoff and placing a pass right into the hands of Colin Chase in the end zone. Into the second half, and it's 10-7 Temple, and Army again in typical fashion on the 3-yard line. Kale Hallams takes the direct snap and rushes into the end zone. Army is able to hold the ball for the last 9 minutes of regulation to keep the 1-point lead. The Black Knights over the Owls, 14-13. That's 2 games against academy teams this season and 2 1-point losses. Let's take a gander at how the two teams statistically matched up. As you could have expected, Army was lackluster in the air compared to Temple, but Army did what Army does otherwise. They ran the ball better than Temple and they controlled the time of possession. Those 22 minutes of offense is the Temple's worst time of possession of the year. This included a 9-minute, 53-second Army drive to end the game with many short first down conversions.
Still, they found ways to get those 3rd and 1s and 3rd and 2s and 4th and 1s. And I told our players, I said, I don't know how we could have prepared any harder. I mean, the work of preparation, it was really impressive. Again, it's always heightened because you're playing something different than what you normally come up against, and so you're adding some things and making some adjustments. And boy, the kids were really prepared. Good football team, great environment. We had to make one more play than they did. We didn't make that one play. So
It's been a strong season for Evan Simon in training camp. He wasn't the clear-cut choice for the top QB spot, but once he grabbed the role, there has been no question who leads this team. Earlier this week, I sat down with Simon and got the chance to talk to the single-digit player about his senior year on North Broad and what might be in store once he leaves Temple. The first question, what is the major difference between this year's team that already has 5 wins versus last year's team that ended the season with just 3 games in the win column?
First things first is bringing in the man, Coach Keeler. You know, ever since he's got here, he's done a fantastic job. Within those first 4 days of him getting hired, you know, a bunch of us went to his press conference. He met with each individual player one by one in those 4 days and, you know, kind of see where the program's at, got a good gist of what's going on and what needs fixed. And, you know, he made a lot of those changes and culture. You know, Coach brought in this packed culture and it's just been phenomenal. And, you know, we have 2 games left to get our 6th win, and, you know, that's all we're focused on, truly.
And you only have 1 interception so far this season compared to your 9 last season in 2024. Knock on wood. What changes have you made in your passing game this season compared to last? Are you a better player, or is there a different fundamental process here?
You know, one thing I really prioritize is preparation. You know, there's been several games where I kind of know what they're going to come out in and, you know, within this formation and where the ball's probably going to go. But yeah, a lot of preparation. We do a great job in the quarterback room with Coach Walker, and, you know, it's not so much what, you know, the other team does, but it's, you know, how well do we know our own plays.
You have been named to 2 different watch lists, the Manning Award watch list and the Jason Witten Collegiate Man of the Year watch list. What does that mean to you, and what kind of impact has that made on you both on and off the field?
Yeah, you know, really cool. Got a lot of support, great text from that stuff, but, you know, how I look at it is I call it rat poison. You know, it's something that can consume your mind and kind of take your mind to another place, you know, other than putting this football team first. So, you know, it's awesome, really cool. Got back to a lot of people with, you know, thank you and stuff like that, but not our end goal here.
Yeah, and you're coming up on your last home game of this season. You guys are 5-5 on the season right now. What are you looking to have coming from this last game, and it also being your senior year?
Yeah, that was quick. Was thinking about this moment early in the season, and, you know, I knew it was going to be here eventually. And, you know, it's been a long ride and super fun, but, you know, we have this bye week coming up, and we're just going to take advantage of all of it.
And do you see yourself playing football after college?
Absolutely. I try not to think about it, but absolutely I'm going to hit that, you know, full speed when the time comes. I didn't really think that would ever really be an opportunity, but we'll go at it full speed.
Simon has 22 touchdowns on the season so far. That puts him at 2 more touchdowns in 2025 than the rest of his collegiate career, combined with 20 total touchdowns. Reporting from the studio set, I'm Kayla Levine. Gabriel, back to you.
Thanks, Kayla. Simon might be at the helm of the squad, but we've got the best guy to talk about the rest of the players in Cherry and White. Our own Tuesday Inside the Nest guy, Myles Thurston, is coming onto the desk. Hey, Myles, thanks for coming on.
Thank you so much for having me.
Appreciate it. So we'll take a look at the Owls first. Yes. They're on the cusp of bowl eligibility. We've been talking about it on OwlSports for a while. Just talk about a little bit about what these 2 games against the top teams, Tulane and North Texas in the conference, means for the Owls, and also talk about the American Championship.
Yeah, the Owls are still looking for their 6th or 7th win, but it'll be tough, like you said. Tulane and North Texas are both top teams in the conference, and Tulane has always been a top team in the American Conference year in and year out, and this year is no different. And I just think they match up too well against the Owls. The Owls have been struggling defensively, and Tulane has a great offense. And so, unfortunately, I don't think they'll be able to get it done against Tulane. Fast forward to North Texas. North Texas has a high-powered offense behind Drew Mestermaker, and the defensive struggles, like I mentioned, have been very apparent for the Owls. So I don't think they'll be able to get it done for that game as well. And looking at the conference, the 2 top dogs I have is USF and North Texas. And we already seen this matchup already. In previous matchup, USF came up on top. Although North Texas has that high-powered offense, their defense is a little lacking. And USF is balanced, has a great offense and great defense. So I think they will be at the top dogs of the American Conference and get that last college football playoff spot.
Well, yeah, USF recently ranked. They're just a ridiculous team to have in the American. But Myles, thanks for coming on. I really appreciate it.
No problem. Thank you
for
having me.
When we come back, it's basketball on Broad, a split with good news at home and a rough trip on the road. We'll be back in just 90 seconds.
Men's basketball stayed on North Broad for the first Big 5 matchup of the year versus LaSalle on Tuesday night. With Temple up 5-4 in the first half, LaSalle's Jaden Marshall hit a big three over the extended arms of Aiden Tobiasen, putting the Explorers up by 2. Not too shortly after that, Tobiasen had a response of his own with a step-back three, putting the Owls up 13-11 with 13 minutes to go. Temple's Jordan Mason passes to Babatunde Doradolo, who spins his way into the paint, finishing the play with a pass to Darian Ford, who makes an easy bucket for the Owls. Now to the second half, the Owls with a lob into the paint and right into Jemai Felt's hands for an easy dunk, putting the Owls up 30 with 9 minutes left in the ballgame. With just over 6 minutes left in the game, LaSalle's Rob Dockery spins and hits a jump shot, but it wasn't enough for the Explorers on Tuesday night. The Owls take this Philly matchup with the final score of Temple 90, LaSalle 63.
Games are over with, and they're great, but now you gotta get ready for the next one. And each opponent's different. There are things we've worked on for this game that we didn't the first. And then coming up Saturday, we'll watch the film on them, and it'll change. But really pleased with the way we're sharing the ball. I think we're doing a really good job of being in gaps, and I think our communication is getting better. Was disappointed on our baseline out of bounds. We gave up too many points in that category. We chart that and go over it, so that's something we'll clean up. But I love the energy of our bench.
We'll go back to the second game of the season for the women, looking to stay unbeaten at home. Jaleesa Molina got her early with the fast break finish for the first of her 15 points in the night. The Cherry and White really found their rhythm in the second as Tristan Taylor gets a nice float. The Owls outscored the Revolutionaries 26-10 in the second. Then Molina again, but this time she doesn't need any help as she cleans the glass to go coast to coast for another nifty lay. The Mountaineers had a better second half, scoring 31 of their 50, but Temple's sharpshooters didn't let up. Drew Alexander from downtown Cash. George Washington got almost all its points from inside the arc. 17 of their 20 made field goals. On the other end, the Owls came with pace, being able to score at will on the break, and not to mention their presence beyond the arc. 63% as a team, ridiculous. Your final, 86-50. One more final for the women's team as the Owls drop one to West Virginia on Tuesday, 89-61. With the loss, the Owls fall to 2-1. And when it comes to hoops, we will once again have our Courts in Session show live on Tuesdays on TUTV during the spring semester. But why wait until January? Let's bring in Pat Dallahan, who will help host this show. He's at the studio set talking about the men's 2-0 start. Hey, Pat.
Yeah, Gabriel, it is so good to have hoops back. And Adam Fisher could not ask for a better start out of his offense than the one he's gotten this season. For the second time in just as many games, 5 different players recorded double-digit scoring. Arkansas State transfer Darian Ford led the pack with 22 points, with Aiden Tobiasen tacking on 16 and Jordan Mason tacking on 14. The Owls reached the 90-point mark for the 6th time since Coach Fisher's arrival in 2023. And when you look at how Temple shot the ball from deep, it's easy to see how. The Owls shot an even 50% from beyond the arc to the tune of 12 made triples. To say Tuesday was a beatdown would be a drastic understatement. The Owls' 27-point victory over the Explorers was their largest against LaSalle since January of 1999. God, that's a really, really long time ago. But here today, we're going to party like it's 1999 on OwlSports Update.
Thank you so much for coming on, Pat.
Of course.
So starting off, Aiden Tobiasen is one of 3 scholarship players who returned this season. He started in most of the games, and he was a true freshman, so expectations are high for him. What do you feel this team will be looking for from him?
They're looking for him to be a secondary ball handler, someone else besides Jordan Mason that can bring the ball up for them. You can see how he's developed when you watch their games. You can see how much more confident he is being an initiator for their actions. You know, he talked about in the press conference the other day that Jordan Mason sometimes will ask him to bring the ball up when he's feeling tired, and for Aiden, that's not a problem. Last year it would have been, but he played his way onto the floor through practice, and this year the staff raved about his development in the summer. Put on some weight, grew a little bit, that wingspan a little longer than it was last year, so that's something to keep in mind for Aiden as the years go on.
Well, he's really taken into that star role. But
100%.
Let's talk about the team as in totality. We were covering them last year.
Yeah, we did.
So we know them pretty well. Last year, It was a Mashburn Junior-centered offense where it was mostly scoring at a focal point of Mashburn Junior. This time it seems like there's a little bit more passing for this team,
Right.
a little bit more ball movement. What do you think?
Yeah, last year Temple ranked in the bottom 10 in the country in ball movement. That's really bad. But this year, they're already in the top half. Granted, it's only been 2 games, as you can see on your screen. In this possession, all 5 Owls touch the ball on this play. And that doesn't happen a lot with this offense. Temple offenses historically have been very isocentric. It's been, or heliocentric as they say now in the basketball world. But you could tell that it typically would revolve around one guy. And having, a great secondary ball handler like Aiden Tobiasen, that team didn't have that last year. And Jordan Mason can set the table for the offense as well. But you can see here, obviously, Aiden Tobiasen surveys the floor, dumps it off to Baba Duradola, who himself had 5 assists last week, one of them right here to Gavin Griffiths. So, there's been a lot more playmaking as a whole. And when guys aren't scoring the ball well, like Baba was on Tuesday, he was able to still make an impact by moving it. So that's been a huge upgrade for this offense this year. And I'll be excited to see what they do against a Power 5 opponent this weekend in Boston College.
Yeah, it's exciting. I think it comes down to depth. Those
100%.
ball handlers just create so much more space for the Owls.
100%.
But yeah, thanks, Pat, for coming on. Compared to last season, fans are looking at basically a brand new squad. Only 4 players are back from last season.
So that leaves 11 new faces here on North Broad. OwlSports Updates' Anthony Rossioli is live at the studio set to highlight one specific Owl. Hey, Anthony.
Thanks, guys. Building a roster these days often means diving into the transfer portal. One of Temple's newest additions is AJ Smith, who arrived through the portal with a connection to Temple that runs through his family tree.
He's a very mature young man. He comes from a great family, had a lot of ties to this area.
Men's basketball had 9 players transferred to Temple this offseason, but A.J. Smith already had connections to Philly and Temple before stepping foot on campus. The senior guard transferred from the College of Charleston to Temple.
Yeah, that's definitely a surreal feeling. I think it's pretty cool just knowing that my parents, spent time in this area. My grandfather was actually at the game. My uncle was at the game. So just being able to experience those things.
A.J. was one of the last transfer players to commit, but as Coach Fisher noted, he's had an immediate impact.
I think he knew the area, which was important, right? He knew what to expect from Philadelphia. He's been towards campus, so all that played a factor. Here's a guy that scored his 1,000th point of his career the other night in our home opener. When you have a guy with that experience that can score the ball like that, it just helps everything.
For most transfers, there's a challenge of adjusting to a new city and a new culture. But for A.J. Smith, this wasn't the case, and it showed immediately on the court as he scored a combined 20 points in his first 2 games with the Owls.
I try to be a two-way player, on defense, be a catalyst. The offense, I think I can score in a variety of ways and help my teammates and get them in good opportunities when I don't have one as well. So just kind of blending both sides of the ball.
And for this veteran, the ultimate goal is simple.
Just trying to guide some of the guys is important. And on the floor, trying not to be so worried about statistical category, going out there to battle and trying to get wins with the guys, I think is, extremely important for me this year.
The Owls will return to the Liacouras Center this Saturday to face off against Boston College. Temple will use this game to celebrate the school's 1969 NIT championship team. Reporting from the studio set, I'm Anthony Rossioli. Back to you guys at the desk.
Thanks, Anthony.
OwlSports Update will be back in just 90 seconds.
Welcome back. Gabriel, having a long-lasting teammate in the sport of basketball is rare nowadays. From high school to travel and then to college, at some point, players tend to separate. Of course, the portal does not help either. As for 2 teammates here at North Broad, their chemistry goes back to their days in high school.
Number 2, Brianna Mead, and number 3, Killian Sedano seem to often be right next to one another, on the court and off the court. It's their first year together at Temple, but their friendship goes back many years, to high school in Connecticut.
When we were in high school, we were at a boarding school. I was staying at school, she wasn't, so we weren't sleeping in the same place, but now we are. So I would say we're closer now.
Me and Casey, well, I call her Casey, we're really close. We've known each other since junior year of high school, and ever since then, we kind of we're best friends.
While both teammates have known each other since high school, the chemistry has actually improved in college, not just on the court, but off the court as well.
College is definitely harder. I think we go through more adversity. There's more challenges on and off the court. So I feel like when you go through things with someone, you become closer.
Their transition from high school to college did take a detour. Brianna went to Long Island University a freshman year, while Killian came straight to Temple. But now, both are back together, this time in North Philly.
I would say mostly I took into consideration the coaches and the program itself, but it definitely was nice to know that I was going to have someone that I was close with on the team.
We like to get food a lot together. We get food. Sometimes we watch TV together while we're eating the food. Sometimes we literally just listen to music and chill and talk.
Killian and Brianna both came off the bench, sometimes at the same time, and both are averaging about 15 minutes per game. Just 3 games into their second go-around together. Killian and Brianna have been making the most of their minutes on the court. You can catch that duo in action Friday at 11 a.m. at the Leah Core Center against LaSalle. Reporting live from Leah Core Center, I'm Xavier Johnson. OwlSports Update will be back in 90.
Welcome back. The women's volleyball team is finishing up its regular season. The Owls' offensive anchor is setter Lexi Yoza, who hit quite the milestone. OwlSports Update's Grace Giordano is at the studio set to explain. Hey, Grace.
Kayla, Lexi Yoza is a crucial player for the volleyball team. She is a junior setter for the Owls, and recently Lexi reached 1,500 career assists at Temple. That's pretty rare air in this long-standing program.
Every kill starts with a great set. For the Owls, Lexi Yoza. She's done this more than 1,500 times at Temple.
Yeah, I think Lexi's super smart. She's one of the smartest players I've ever played with.
Lexi might be one of the most consistent humans I've ever coached. She shows up the same almost every day, and that is such a valuable trait, really evolving into a great leader on and off the court.
But the connection goes both ways. The kill doesn't come without the assist, and the assist doesn't come without the kill.
A lot of volleyball is you can't do your job without everyone else doing their job, and I think not even necessarily just for my position, I think for a lot of positions that's how it works.
Coach Hampton Keith envisions Lexi as a pillar to grow her team and construct a successful program, which is a project still in the making for a team that is 2 matches above 500.
Really identified her as not just the setter that we wanted to build a program around, but a human that we wanted to build the program around. She embodied everything we knew about that we wanted to value as a culture in our program.
Last year, Lexi led the team in assists, finishing her season with 845. She has 1 more year with the Owls, and if she stays healthy, she could break that 2,000 assist milestone.
With only 3 matches left, the Owls hope to hit 18 wins this season. This has not been achieved since 2017, when their record was 22-8.
In Temple's win on Wednesday night over Howard, Lexi had 22 assists. Temple's win moves the Owls to 16-13. They have 2 matches left in 2025, both against conference opponents at home this weekend. Reporting from the studio set, I'm Grace Giordano. Guys, back to you.
Thanks, Grace. But we'll do it for this edition of OwlSports Update. As always, you can catch any of OwlSports Updates on our socials at OwlSports, any sports on our socials at OwlSports Update.
Kayla and I won't be seeing you until after Thanksgiving, so make sure you find a pile of leaves to jump into. I don't really understand this holiday, but I'll take the day off. Anyways, that's all from us. Have a great rest of your week.